Okay, crime sceners, I have got some juicy tidbits for you today. I have been told some new information that you might find interesting, and listen to the end because I found out something that we've been wondering for a really long time. So as usual, the disclaimer, please note that any statements or opinions expressed here are purely speculative and are not intended to accuse any individual or entity of wrongdoing. Unless otherwise stated as fact, the information provided reflects personal observations and hypotheses. Any conclusions drawn from this content should be viewed in this context. And don't forget to like, subscribe and share this around to as many people as you can, because we need as many eyes on this case as we can. Now, some of this information was told to me and I haven't been able to verify it. It's incredibly hard to verify anything in a 41-year-old case, but I'm just going to relay the information to you and see what you think. So somebody who had been in the Belgrave office drew me a floor plan. They didn't work there. It's just someone who had at one time been inside the Belgrave office and knows what it looked like. At least this is what they remember that it looked like, because after all, it has been 41 years. But I think sometimes stuff kind of sticks in your head when something traumatic happens, so I think it's probably relatively accurate. But if anyone else has ever been in the Free Press office of the leader newspaper in Belgrave, especially around the early 80s, please let us know if this is how you remember it, or if you think something's missing or something's different. So let us know in the comments or email us at the email address in the description. Now, this person drew this by hand, and I've replicated it on the computer because I don't want anyone recognizing their handwriting. And I'm not the best at this kind of thing with the computer stuff, but you get the gist. This is what the office looked like. Pretty ordinary. There's where Nanette's friend Em and Nanette sat. The receptionist would obviously have been at the reception desk. There's a kitchenette, storage, etc. I'm told that a hot desk is where visiting staff sat when they needed to be there for whatever reason. All looks pretty much like your normal office environment. The one thing that did stick out to me though is the open plan design. If you were in this office, you would have been able to see and hear everything that was going on, especially because I'm told that it was quite small. So who was in the office when Nanette was ringing Craig that day saying that everything was going to be okay? Who was in the office when Nanette rang the police to say she was leaving early? Did someone overhear her making plans to meet up with Joan? This is all information that would be very helpful to someone who might want to harm Nanette. The thing that doesn't sit right with me with her leaving the office that day is that we have two versions of the story. One is the receptionist saying that Nanette left at 5 with her. Then we have someone else placing Nanette at the Baronia office at 5 o'clock, waiting for Joan to escort her home. She can't be at both places at once, that's a given. So someone is lying or they are misremembering, and that's obvious. But the police officer said that Nanette had called to tell him she was leaving around 3. So did she leave at 3? And if she did she go straight to the Baronia office and sit there for almost 2 hours? Or did she go somewhere else in the meantime? And if she did go somewhere else in the meantime, where did she go? Did she actually leave just before 5 and go straight to the Baronia office from the Belgrave office? I swear we have more questions now than when we started, and we only had a little bit of information. And there's another thing I was thinking about all this as well. I was thinking about how sometimes I, as a parent, keep things from my children because I don't want them to be scared or fearful. And it made me think about Nanette, and was she doing the same thing for Craig and Greg? And the reason I was thinking this is because, well, one, Craig said she called and said everything was going to be all right. At the same time, she's ringing Joan for an escort. She's ringing the police to say that, the escort's still on for Monday. So I don't really think that she was thinking it was going to be all right. But, maybe Craig is telling the truth. Maybe she did ring and say that everything was going to be all right because maybe she was protecting him like I think that most mothers would do. And 2, the police officer said that he believed Nanette called because they had discussed that she shouldn't be alone in the house. And I've said before that if that is the case, why did Craig and Greg both leave so that the house was empty when she got home? They would have known what time she got home from work. Could it be that they weren't really taking this seriously because, one, they were kids, and two, because Nanette was shielding them from the truth? This has been bothering me since day one. I think it was in my very first video when I talked about the police escort. And I said, why on earth is Nanette getting a police escort because of some vandalism to her car? That never made sense to me. People have been in way more dangerous situations and haven't had police escorts to and from work. I mean, at this point, it's just some vandalism. And then I thought, well, she was actually killed. So I guess they were right in their belief that something bad was going to happen to her based on this vandalism. But then I thought, it wasn't vandalism, was it? They know something. The police know something, and it's huge. There's no way they'd be escorting her around because her car got hit with some rocks and had some paint thrown on it. There is something else. Something else happened to make them think she might be in danger. Maybe. That's just what I'm thinking anyway. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. I just don't believe she was given a police escort for some vandalism. And I think if it was something bigger, I think she might have kept it from the boys, and that's why they left the house on Friday, and that's why they were messing around when the police were outside. And see, that's another thing too. They actually had police surveilling her house and driving past her house all the time. You don't do this for a vandalised car, even if it's more than once. I think that there was something else that they knew that they're not letting the public know. And I think it's something that Nanette probably kept from everyone too, just so that they wouldn't be scared and afraid. The next thing that I was told is about Craig's chef knives. Now, if you've watched other videos, we've already discussed that, about where they were, did he go back in the house for them, yada, 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 all that stuff. Now, this person told me that the knives were taken away for testing and they were returned to him a couple of months later. Now, this was not told to me by police or any sort of authority. I feel like I have to say, I don't have any proof, this may not be true, but then I feel like if I say that, then I'm calling the person a liar. And so many people have emailed me with some great information, and I want them to keep doing that. So I certainly don't want to insinuate that anyone is lying. But I feel like I have to say it at the same time to cover my butt. And also because memories aren't that great. So if someone's told me something and they're kind of misremembering it, I don't want to kind of put it on here as, oh, that's fact, you know. I mean, it was 41 years ago, so it is difficult to recall things correctly, especially small details that wouldn't have seemed like much at the time. So if you've given me information and I say I can't verify that, it might not be true, please don't take offense to that. It's mostly just to cover my own behind, legally. And I have already had lawsuit threats, so I'm sure you can understand that that's why I would do that. I mean, that's why I have the disclaimer at the start and in all the descriptions. But don't take offense. I appreciate every bit of information that I get from all of you. But I was also told that Craig went back into the house through the back door on the Sunday or Monday. Now, we've already talked about him going in through the back door. And the way that it was kind of put in the newspaper article made it sound like he had gone back in on the Friday, which seemed a bit weird. But this person has said to me that he actually went back in on the Sunday or Monday. I know that forensics were there on the Saturday, so it is possible the crime scene could have been released by Sunday or Monday. And I'm not sure how long they keep it closed for, and I still don't know why he went through the back door and not the front. But I guess Craig is the only one who could answer that. Now, this next bit of information is a big one. I had someone tell me their theory, and their theory was that someone had gone in through the back door and waited for Nanette to come home. And they said that it was very common to leave doors unlocked back then. Now, I thought it was very unlikely, since I would assume that someone receiving police escorts and surveillance of their house would keep their house locked up quite tightly. They suggested that the back door may have been open, which is why Nanette went out that way, but I said it had to be shut because there was quite a lot of blood on the inside of the back door. That means Nanette must have opened the door herself. But then they suggested that maybe Greg left the house through the back door and accidentally left it unlocked. And that's when I started zooming into the lock on the back door. Now, for those of you not old enough, back in the day, we usually had these kinds of locks on the back door like this, and would always keep the key in it. It just made it easier to come in and out, and it was a bit of a fire safety hazard if you locked the door, then took the key with you, because then nobody would be able to get out the door. I don't think it was common to copy these keys because they kind of looked like wardrobe door keys. They weren't like the keys that are easily copied today. I can't speak for everyone, of course, but I know that my family only had the one key to the back door, so it stayed in there at all times. I can't vouch for all old locks, but I know the ones in my house, if you had the key in the lock like this on the inside, you couldn't unlock it or lock it from the outside. Like you couldn't fit both keys in at the same time. I hope that kind of makes sense, but older people will know exactly what I'm talking about. But I zoomed into the lock and the key was in it on the inside, as far as I could tell. It gets pretty blurry when you zoom in, but it looks to me like the key is in the lock on the inside of the door. If Greg left through the back door, which he probably did given that he was jumping the back fence, then he definitely didn't lock the door. He couldn't have locked it with the key in there. That means he left it unlocked. Could this be why there is no sign of a break-in? Now you might wonder why Greg wouldn't make sure that the house was locked when he knew what was going on. But that brings us back to maybe Nanette hadn't let the boys in on everything that was going on. And maybe they weren't taking it seriously because they thought it was just vandalism and didn't really think anything was going to happen to her. How tragic to think that Nanette may have lost her life because she was trying to protect her sons. I don't even want to think about that. But the last thing, the one that we've been wondering all along, is who does the back bedroom belong to? The one with the pantyhose on the nightstand, the one with the blood on the wardrobe. I know many of you think that was Craig's room, but I've just been told that this was Greg's. Once again, can't verify that at the moment, but it is interesting nonetheless. Does it change anything if that room is Greg's? I don't know. But that's it. A bit of new information for you to ponder. When you're done pondering, let me know if any of this changes anything for you. I know you all have your theories as to what happened. Are they still the same? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and have a great day.